Warning, we're going to be discussing events for currently running weekly anime.
If you want to avoid spoilers for certain shows, there are timestamps in the description.
Hey, welcome back to Up Dog.
No, you're not getting me on that, dude.
One of these days, I want to get somebody and it's going to be the greatest moment of my life.
Anyway. Your life is incredibly hollow. That's going to be the greatest moment of your life, for real, man. Jeez.
Alright, it hit me deep.
Yeah.
Right off the fucking start.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Timesink Anime Podcast. I am Rex, and this is my co-host, Jay.
How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back.
It is week 4 of spring 2019. We have finally hit our cutoff week.
Yep, the chopping block. The 3-episode test, or 4 episodes, depending on whatever it doesn't matter. That aside,
we gotta wait for... We had to wait till week 4 because most stuff started at week 2.
Yeah, so we just decided let's keep watching some shows up to week 4, but we have officially, by this episode, we will have a sacred list that we will be discussing, and that the tablets that the prophets will talk about for years to come or weeks to come.
Until everybody forgets them in summer season.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll be immediately forgotten and superseded by the time summer rolls around. Which, speaking of that, holy shit, it's starting to get warm.
Oh my god, right? Like, it's getting to the point where I'm probably going to have to buy an air conditioner.
Yeah.
Again. I have one, but it just sucks.
Yeah, it's a really
old.
Crappy air conditioning unit.
Yeah. But so this past few weeks have been, like, super busy for anime.
Yeah.
Because, well, having to watch everything and then all the new stuff coming out and the stuff coming out at different dates, so you have to try and figure out which show's coming out at what time. Luckily, like, AniChart has a
list out now.
Yeah, of, like, shows. Like, every day these shows come out.
Yeah.
And I've been balancing watching anime with playing Final Fantasy XIV and then playing Sekiro and trying to beat that because that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, a lot of work goes into making this podcast, guys. You don't even know. You don't even know.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to talk about anime.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about anime and play video games and then also work and all that fun shit.
So, news for the week. First up, we got Konosuba film planned for August 30th Japanese release.
Woo!
Yeah, I am incredibly excited about this because I obviously Konosuba was the funniest show of its year, without a doubt.
Yeah, I don't care if Kobayashi's Dragon Maid technically won that. I'm still bitter about that. In case you guys hadn't realized it, I'm still very upset about that.
So we got a little bit of details. The musical group Machiko, which performed the first and second opening for the show, is going to be returning for a new theme song for the film.
Oh, cool!
Which is cool. I absolutely love the first and second openings.
Yeah, they're both hilarious and good and funny in their own rights.
Yeah, visuals. The visuals are hilarious, and the music is just really catchy too.
Yeah, exactly. That first season opening is it's still in my head.
It really sets you up for the show.
Yeah,
like I said, it really sets the mood really well.
Indeed.
And we also got the entire main group. The Kazuma, Aqua, Megumin, Darkness, they're all going to be having their original voice actors reprising for the roles.
That shouldn't really surprise anybody because these characters are all so beloved, and it'd be really awkward to just replace the characters' voice actors now, unless they had like other obligations. But like everybody likes Kazuma's just sort of dry, like, yeah, I'm Kazuma.
Yeah, I love that. I love that in the Isekai Quartet opening when they're all introducing themselves, like all grand and fancy, and just like, hi, Kazuma.
Yeah, it's speaking of Isekai Quartet. This isn't really news, but just figured to be something worth bringing up. The first episode dubbed of Isekai Quartet is now on Verve. Isekai Quartet was originally a Funimation exclusive. Now it's also on Verve. So if you guys hadn't watched Isekai Quartet at all yet, go ahead and do yourself a favor. It's pretty funny.
And so for the movie, I'm a little worried about animation quality because it's being done by JC Staff.
Yeah, okay, so for JC Staff is currently running the season of One Punch Man, but from a few of the PVs and stuff like that we've seen in like directors, like all the people working...
I haven't seen any PVs for this movie yet.
Well, there has been like some footage I've heard, but basically, like there's actually an entire there's a video done by Jeff from Mother's Basement talking about like JC staff in the season of One Punch Man. He also uses a Konosuba, I think, in that review, specifically for the movie coming out, and basically showing it's not just JC staff, it's the director and people behind it. The director behind One Punch Man isn't as passionate about it as the Madhouse personnel were, and the people behind Konosuba on JC staff are actually very passionate about it. They've done a really good job of recreating the look of the models. Like, they're a little bit more polished, but not by much. Like, it just looks like Konosuba.
All I'm saying is that my past 2 experiences with JC staff have been the most recent season of Index and the animation in One Punch Man. So I was like,
yeah,
I'm worried. I'm gonna watch it. Like, if it's in theaters, I'll definitely go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next up, we got Mitsuhito Tsuji, the lead at PA Works. He's expressing desire to work with Jun Maeda on a new original anime project. And Jun Maeda, for those who don't recognize the name, he collaborated with PA Works to create Angel Beats and Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So both shows that ended on really abrupt
no
notes.
spoilers, but the community and myself was not happy with the endings of either of those shows.
Like, I want to just go on record and say, I adored Angel Beats. I thought the ending itself was not, like, the final episode was not bad. The events leading up to the final episode were atrocious, though. They were very rushed and very poorly paced.
It wasn't quite Darling in the Franxx level.
Oh, God, no.
Like, I still was fine with the show after it ended.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just not so great.
Angel Beats, I kind of forget, though, the last 2 episodes, or the 2 episodes leading up to the final episode. But the final episode was just such a big deal. Now, Charlotte, on the other hand, had a good start, a very good middle, and a really clumsy ending. So let's just wait and see, because I think Jun Maeda has some really good ideas, and PA Works usually has some pretty good quality adapting those ideas. Wasn't Jun Maeda also like a member of Key in general? Like, wasn't he behind?
Yeah, he worked on the visual novels.
Yeah, he worked on the visual novels for like Clannad and
Air.
Yeah, I think so.
Air
So
TV.
So Jun Maeda is able to write really good ideas. It's just being able to adapt those into like a 12-episode series isn't always their forte. I had also heard rumors, mind you, that the reason why Angel Beats was so rushed was because there was actually flooding in the PA Works studio, and it actually caused them to lose some of their work.
Yes, sure. Flooding, yes. I left my cat on fire.
And then she went flying out the window.
I mean, I'll definitely check it out. Like, I don't regret watching Charlotte and Angel Beats at all. I still enjoyed it overall.
Absolutely.
It's just I was a little it's like someone kind of stepped on my toes a little bit at the end there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I absolutely adored Angel Beats a lot more than I did Charlotte, but I definitely am looking forward to seeing at least more. Maybe he'll redeem himself. 3rd time's the charm. We'll see.
So next up, we got... I'm so excited. The new Laid-Back Camp stuff.
Oh, yes. They announced that, like, what, last year? Like,
yeah,
last year?
They announced it, that the possibility of it come. It was greenlit last year. They have officially announced that a short anime by the name of Heiyakyan, which is a room camp, is slated for 2020 release.
Nice. And isn't there also supposed to be like a movie or something
so
too?
They have this short anime series that's going to be coming out. And then they don't have a date yet, but they have a second regular television anime season for Laid-Back Camp, and also a film that has also been greenlit, which I will just gobble all those down as immediately as soon as possible.
Yeah, because Laid-Back Camp was like your favorite show that season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was one of my favorite shows of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was my favorite show of the year. I don't remember what we did with our year review. I either said that or Place for the Universe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was a very good season, a very good year.
I said Laid-Back Camp.
Yeah.
Just because I just liked it more.
That's also very fair. I also really enjoyed Laid-Back Camp. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Like, those girls are all so enjoyable to watch. But I think we can agree that Rina's best girl.
All right, let's move on.
Very funny.
The one last thing, you brought up the Isekai Quartet thing,
Mhm.
how it moved away from... Well, they have it on Crunchyroll now. So Crunchyroll recently picked up Isekai Quartet and Helpful Fox Senko-san, which were pretty big exclusives, I feel like. They're like, those are both really popular shows this season.
Yeah.
And just the fact that Funimation doesn't have them as exclusives anymore, I'm not sure if that was planned from the beginning as like maybe a timed 1 week or two exclusive, or Crunchyroll just managed to actually get their hands on the license. I think it's a little bit of a blow to Funimation.
Yeah, or more specifically to Sony.
Well,
yeah,
it's all one thing.
Yeah, that's fair. But I actually had a piece of news this week. So this isn't specifically related to anime, but it's anime related, I think, is we got, for fans of Persona, we got 2 huge announcements this week. 2 games are coming out. Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 Strikers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of anime related, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I'm pretty sure most people relate Persona to anime with disappointment.
Yeah, that is true. Now, I am a huge fan of the Persona series. Rex here actually had to deal with me playing through the game twice.
Yeah, I pretty much played it myself.
Yeah.
I was like just sitting on the couch while you were playing it the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember falling asleep on the couch at one point while you were playing Persona, and then I woke up in the morning to you playing Persona.
Yeah, that did happen a couple times. So, Persona 5 Strikers, as far as I can tell, it's basically like Dynasty Warriors.
It's Persona Warriors.
Yeah, it's Persona Warriors, which I'm curious to see how that will go.
Yeah, it'll be good. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Because Fire Emblem Warriors, Hyrule Warriors,
and just the Dynasty Warriors games.
Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
not like incredibly deep games. Like, it's just kind of...
Yeah, absolutely.
They're good at what they do.
Now, the reason why I'm saying I'm curious about this is because pretty much every, like, addition to the Persona, like, all the different games, like, from all the different genres, they're canonical to the rest of the Persona universe, like, the main, like, games, like, the main JRPG games, like,
so you're wondering how they're gonna squeeze that into the story?
Yeah, I'm curious, because I will say this, if Atlas isn't, Atlas with the Persona series, they're definitely not short on innovation. Some people might consider it milking the franchise, which I'd agree with that, but at the same time, for Persona fans, they just really enjoy their milk. The other thing that I was kind of curious about was Persona 5 Royal. Now, as far as I understand, this is supposed to be just basically like a redo, or like it almost feels like, to me, like a special edition of the original game.
Yeah, they're remaking the entire game and adding, or they're not remaking the entire game, but they're adding a new character and a new area and everything, and then they're remaking the entire game to fit that character.
Yeah, which I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, because, and maybe this is just personal, because Persona 5 was the first game I ever platinum trophied, like, ever. Like, I spent so much time in that game, and then releasing a game, basically, if they're planning, as far as I can tell, I'm planning on releasing it at full price just to accommodate a few new features, just feels a little bit cheap to me.
Yeah, they were releasing it as full price and also releasing a collector's edition for even fuller price.
Oh, God. I just don't know how I feel about it. I feel very conflicted about it, because I like Persona. I love the franchise. I like Atlas as a company, more or less. I just am a little bit concerned about this. Like, it just feels very cheap and kind of alienating as a consumer. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a practice that a lot of people done for a long time, so people are going to keep doing it as long as people keep buying it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess the only thing you can do is not buy it. But even in the end, it's like, as nihilistic as this approach is, it's like, what's the difference it's going to make? People are going to buy it anyways.
Yeah, people are still going to buy Persona 5. Like,
nothing's going to change, and we will continue to slide into the dystopian future.
Yeah, the thing about it is, ideally, I'd personally like just to basically, if it was able to transfer, like, my save file over from Persona 5, I'd be slightly more okay with it. I have a little bit more truck with it, but if it's just a new game that's basically just from the ground up, and it's like, do I really want to play the game from the very beginning just for these new features? Not particularly. Anyway, enough ranting about that.
So let's get on to the anime we're talking about for this week. First up, we got Bungo Stray Dogs 3, which I'm conflicted right now because I'm very happy that we're getting back to the main story with the main cast, but I'm also sad this flashback is over because I love seeing little Dazai and little Chuya interact with each other.
Yeah, no kidding, because Chuya, it's really fascinating just seeing both of these characters who we know now, like, as being, like, very dangerous and, like, incredibly dangerous or powerful, all these, it's fascinating seeing, like, who they were and, like, their kind of sort of humble origins. I say sort of because they were pretty powerful from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Dazai. Like, I know he's smart and his power is good against other people that have powers. Like, it doesn't really seem like he has much going on besides a little bit of martial arts training.
I think, though, that he's also incredibly calculating and devious. Like, but he just likes to play the fool more often than not, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he's very good at bluffing people with that.
Yeah, like putting that metal thing around his arm. It looks just like a big metal block, pretty much.
That was absolutely hysterical when that happened. It's like, what, you think I was just wearing a cast for no reason this whole time?
Yeah, it felt very earned in that situation because he has been wearing this cast the whole time.
And I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, that seems a little bizarre, but it's Dazai. Like,
it's the world he lives in.
Yeah.
Like, he probably is, like, when he was young, he's thinking, well, I need to have some kind of insurance just in case someone attacks me and they're not using their power. Because I think at this point, if anyone touches Dazai with their power, like, even if it's ranged, like, edgelord guy.
Oh, Akutagawa.
Akutagawa, yeah. Even if he were to, even if he, like, attacks Dazai with a bunch of, like, angles, he could just make them all disappear.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way that I see the Dazai's power being. It's just like, oh, if any power, like, supernatural gift touches me, they just poof, don't exist anymore because I have the anti-gift.
And we pretty much called Chuya's transformation thing, like, if it was just him going out of control, right?
Pretty much. And the way that Rondo described it is, like, at the very end of their fight was, it's not like Chuya was actually the Arahabaki. He seemed to be a vessel for the Arahabaki to like, just inhabit. Like, and there's still, like, a bit of mystery to what exactly the Arahabaki is, and Chuya, to this day, is still looking for it. So we'll hopefully get to see more of that go on as this arc progresses. Like, I don't think they would have shown us this flashback in particular for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably going to link into the main cast and to whatever kind of, like, plot we're dealing with now. Because didn't they give us a lot of the flashback in season 2 focused a lot on the Port Mafia, and that was important because the Port Mafia was a major driving force in the second season.
Yeah, they were responsible for helping fight against the guild.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be very important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like,
also, sorry, go ahead, real quick.
Oh, that was actually all I had to say.
Okay, so I love I don't remember his name. He has, like, the little voodoo doll.
Oh, Q,
and he's got the crazy eyes.
Yeah,
he's so goddamn adorable.
He's terrifying.
You think he's terrifying? Oh man,
just like
his personality,
power.
Sure.
Yeah, his personality and his power, just everything about him. Like, and I think I agree. His design is adorable. Yeah, but that's what makes him so downright creepy.
For sure, yeah. I want to see more of him. I hope he gets a better kind of deal.
Yeah,
for himself. Because he's being used. He was being used by the Port Mafia, and then he was used by the guild in a really freaky way.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it hilarious that it seems like this entire, like, interaction was just Mori playing the situation the whole time. Because
he knew about everything that was going on.
Yeah, because they've established from the get-go that Mori is a person who, like, methodically calculates with absolutely no emotion whatsoever. He's a doctor, so he kind of has to take emotion out of the equation when basically determining anything. But when he applies it here, he's thinking to himself, so I have these two kids here. They're both incredibly dangerous and powerful. I think the only way I can make them improve is by basically making them conflict with each other. Like, work together and be rivals. Like, he knew that almost going in because his last words to the girl, I don't remember her name, is, only a diamond can polish another diamond.
Yeah, it seems he's always thinking like hundreds of steps ahead.
Yeah,
it's like, well, I need to solve, not only do I need to solve this problem, but I need to develop these two for future problems.
Exactly, because Chuya and Dazai become like the most powerful and youngest executives in the Port Mafia, if I'm not mistaken. And I just think that Mori basically planning all this out, that just like really speaks to how terrifying of a tactician he really is. And you said something to the effect of, you don't always agree with what Mori is doing, but he's doing it for the right reasons, really. Because
I agree with his reasoning, but I don't agree with his methods.
Yeah, because if he had let the previous boss live, a lot more people would have died.
I agree with that method.
Yeah.
I agree that the boss just needed to die right there. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back to the main cast and see everyone. It's probably going to be like a slower episode next episode. Probably just a kind of
reintegrate
a little bit of comedy.
Yeah, probably reintegrate us with the rest of the cast, because we haven't seen them since last season, which for us was only about a month ago. But
yeah, wasn't that long of a wait for me, but I'm excited.
Yeah, woohoo! Now the other thing that I'm let's just talk about the fight really quick. That was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just
the begrudging teamwork.
Yeah, and Rondo's like, I have the ability to basically seal people in an alternate dimension that I can control, and Dazai can't really break it. But then the two of them had to like work together to like grab each other's hand, and then poof, the subspace disappeared, and then the undead version of the boss also disappeared.
Yeah, it was really smart giving that undead version of the boss a scythe that was real.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even if Dazai was still able to beat it, it was just a clever move.
Yeah, the two, like, seeing them work
and also the opening playing.
Oh, yeah.
During the fight made it feel even cooler.
Absolutely. This, we've said it a million times, but that never gets old. Next up, Demon Slayer. Well, we are getting right into the plot here now. Like, the final selection. It's... The thing about this episode, though, and we'd already kind of mentioned this, like, off camera, that this episode would have been a lot more amazing had they not constantly interrupted it with unnecessary exposition.
Yeah, I love the episode, but every time I was really getting into it, they would cut off the two
Sabito and
Momoko.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd cut off to them talking about Tanjiro, and it's like, I'm just getting invested. Stop interrupting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got some shots of Thunder Guy, and I'm assuming Boar Guy.
Yeah,
because it was like a really angry looking guy with scars on his face. I'm assuming he just probably normally wears the boar mask.
Maybe he might actually be like the commander of that particular unit, though, as well. I don't know. Like, I don't know how we don't really know how the Demon Slayer Corps operates, because I think the guy that you're talking about is also in the intro, like, and he's not wearing a boar mask, because the guy in the boar mask is just like very, very muscular.
And yeah, you're probably right.
Like, this guy looks just kind of like edgelord material.
But we for sure got Lightning Guy.
Yeah, Lightning Guy and we called it last week, and I think that was pretty well indicated in the intro, though, that different demon slayers have different methods of fighting the demons and different elements that they're able to control. I think we'd called that.
Yeah, like Lightning Guy is probably gonna have thunder breathing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Tanjiro has water breathing.
Mm-hmm. We get a little bit more insight into Irokodaki. I finally remembered his name. I just basically remembered Irokosaki from Ninja Turtles. That was the
wow. That's a interesting way to remember it.
The original. That was the original identity of the Shredder. Actually, his name was Irokosaki, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty easy to remember. The moment when Tanjiro slashed the boulder, and then Irokodaki shows up and basically says, "You did well, my boy," and then hugs him. That was such a really just poignant moment. Yeah. It was really well done.
Because that's been 2 years of Tanjiro's life. Mm-hmm. Just up in the mountains training every day, every 365, maybe like a day or two, every once in a while take a break. Yeah, he's just been constantly trying for 2 years. And that final culmination of someone telling him that
you did well.
You did it.
Giving him a hug and just seeing like from the side, you see tears slowly like just welling out of his eyes. It was such a rewarding, poignant moment. It was, it was moments like that I really was fond of. And then even, like, seeing a little bit of Orokodaki's regret when Tanjiro's getting ready to ascend up to the final selection, he says, say hi to Sabito and
Momoko.
Yeah, it's either Momoko or Monako. I don't remember her name. But and then he's like, Tanjiro, how do you know the names of those dead children? And basically confirming what we had thought last episode, how they were spirits.
I had assumed that they were being told to help him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess they're just kind
of
decided to do it on their own.
Yeah, I imagine so. But they're just, like, occasionally cutting back to them and saying, oh, do you think he's going to be okay? It just felt like unnecessary padding for time. Like,
yeah, and the fight with the really big, muscly demon guy was really cool. Yeah, but they kept... It could have been, like, a really suspenseful, like, horror moment.
Yeah.
But they just kept kind of cutting out. And then Tanjiro had that, like, he was unconscious. Like, I didn't really have a problem with that part.
See, that part I actually thought was kind of interesting, because they were basically telling him, because it was basically the spirits of his, like, younger brothers and sisters who he'd lost, wake up. You still have work to do, pretty much. I thought that was fine. Like, it was fitting because, like, that could have easily just been something he was basically hallucinating, but...
Yeah. It's a very interesting method that the Demon Slayers have for the final selection, because you'd think they'd want to go in there and kill off the big muscly thing, because it's like, I feel like that's causing an unnecessary amount of deaths for budding Demon Slayers.
Yeah.
Like, when you want someone to get into the profession, you don't want to throw them in, head first. You want to slowly build them up. You don't want to just, here's the really strong demon that's killed 50 people. Well, good luck.
See, I think the thing about that, though, is that wasn't really intentional. Like, I think that because even the demon basically had mentioned that Orokodaki was responsible for locking him away there because of the wisteria flowers, I think is what they were called. They were basically, like, demon repellent. So the demons could only go up the mountain, and could never go back down because it served as, like, a barrier for them to leave.
No, they couldn't go up or down. The Demon Slayers captured the demons and put them there.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't leave at all.
No, they couldn't, like, they could go up the mountain, but they couldn't get off the mountain ever, is the thing, because wisteria flowers are everywhere.
Yeah.
Around.
They could only hang around the top of the mountain.
Exactly. I think that that demon in particular being there was an accident, because Orokodaki captured it.
Yeah, but you think they could have, like, you think they would have figured it out, right?
Like, after, like, 50 some odd cadet? I don't...
Maybe they just chalk it up to, like, oh, they didn't come back. We're not going to go in there and check.
Maybe Orokodaki never told them, which he seems to be in exile, probably because he's ashamed of how many of his pupils have died because of something he feels he's personally responsible for.
I don't know if he's in exile. Like, he seems like still an official teacher.
Maybe.
Where do you get the idea that he's in exile from?
I don't know. Like, he seems to be kind of, like, isolated and alone.
The Demon Slayers, they said there's, like, tons of them. Mm-hmm. So they're probably spread out everywhere around the world.
Maybe.
That's just his one little location.
Maybe it's just me thinking, well, if he feels, like, guilty because a lot of his pupils keep dying, I imagine he might be a self-imposed exile. Like, that's just a theory. Like, that's the only evidence I have is, like, circumstantial. But anyway, that aside, the fight was really cool. Like, seeing him run up the arms and stuff.
I really like the design on the demon, that he's been slowly getting more and more arms, and he's placing these arms specifically constantly around his neck.
Yeah. To, like,
build sort of a makeshift armor.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Because we learned that, it's the neck. The neck is the demon's weak point. Definitely not a Titan.
Yeah, definitely not a Titan.
But, yeah, it was a little cliche. I will say that he gets beat up by the bad guy, and he's like, remember your training.
Yeah.
And then he suddenly beats the enemy. But it was still really kick-ass to watch, because the effects on the water attacks are so cool.
Yeah, and I think that it's a little bit forgivable here, just because, like, of the it's kind of like the My Hero Academia approach, pretty much, because like it's cliched. It's like, okay, time to go past our limits. There's not really going to be any explanation for this, but just that we can. But it's still awesome because there's so much passion.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Absolutely,
It's just pointing it out.
Yeah, it is a little cliched, but overall, I really like this series, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the final selection because I don't imagine that demon is dead. Like, it looked like he got his head cut off, but there's gotta be more to it than that, because that just seems like it'd be way too easy.
I don't know, I could see that demon being dead. It's only the first night.
Yeah, and they have to survive 7 nights on this mountain. Which...
And I'm sure the little shithead guy that ran away after Tanjiro got attacked is gonna be back.
Oh, can I also just point out, yeah, that guy was a little shithead, because... It's like, okay, can't whip out now. I have to save him. And then, as soon as he gets knocked out, I'll just run away, even though this guy risked his life to save me. Bye!
Yeah,
it's like, wow, what a shithead. I hope you die.
So, next up is Dororo.
An episode that the community seems to collectively agree was awful.
Yeah, so, pacing was awful. Animation was awful. There's so many weird cuts.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone is pointed out the infamous hill.
Yeah.
When he's just like,
like, it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that we'd hired the director from Ninja Slayer to direct those cuts.
Yeah, it was so bad.
I mean, just, like, there's a gif of that, and I'm like, and it's one of the jokes I remember somebody saying is like, oh, he's moving so fast, he doesn't need in-between frames.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's no in-between frames here whatsoever. The content of this series is still pretty solid, but the payoff, especially given the setup from the last episode, super disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it just seemed like this was way too quick. Like, they set up all this kind of creepy stuff, and like, the village definitely gave sort of like a Children of the Corn or something kind of feel where everything was just super ominous. Like that scene when Dororo, like, talks about, like, the children disappearing at the nunnery or whatever. And then, like, you see, like, Dororo looks and she sees, like, all the people just, like, ominously holding knives, but then immediately going back to their work. I thought that was pretty well handled. It definitely made it a little bit more tense.
Yeah, I think they should have focused on more of a horror angle for this episode.
Absolutely.
Because when Dororo was, like, snooping around the burnt down house,
yeah,
it was really spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And like the store, the rice storeroom,
yeah,
they probably could have made that a little more spooky. Like when she was cutting into the rice, maybe a little more suspense on it or something.
They should have. I agree. They definitely should have focused more on like the mystery horror angle, like figuring out what exactly was wrong with this place. Like, kind of a little bit more of a horror version of the episode of the demon spider thing. Like, why are all these people disappearing? Like, they should have taken cues from that episode. As far as I understand, there was a guest director on this episode, which is why some of these cuts were so awkward.
Was there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a guest director on this episode.
Where'd you get that from?
Just like around KITSU and stuff like that, people have been talking about it.
So. I assumed that it had something to do with bringing somebody else in because, or like maybe production reasons, maybe they left their cat on fire.
Yeah. We don't support lighting cats on fire, just for the record. And
yeah, it's just the idea is interesting. I liked this arc going up to this point of Freaky Face Frogman.
Yeah,
and the fact that he's like, what was it?
He's sort of like
demon is helping his village, like survive. What the demon give him? I don't remember.
I think it basically gave him like fertile land and stuff like that. It was from what I understood, it was basically sort of like supposed to be like a parallel to Daigo. Yeah, like Daigo and Daigo's land.
Yeah, they what's his name? The old guy. He brought up a really interesting point of, I think it was in the last episode or the episode before that, of when someone doesn't need to eat, when someone's not starving, they can focus a lot more on what's in front of them. They don't have to worry about, dying from starvation or whatever. And this was definitely an interesting plot where all the villagers were really happy, and it turns out the villagers were in on feeding people to the babies, but like they were just so fine with it because their life was like perfect. They didn't have
Yeah.
anything to worry about.
Which it definitely.
Oh, that's right. The they killed the bandits.
Right.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bandits. They had they killed the bandits. They had like killed some of the dangerous animals. They had sort of allowed the land to flourish.
That's right. Yeah.
It basically that was the issue. It was kind of similar to what had happened to Daigo's land, but yeah, it's exactly that problem though. Like the episode was interesting, like, and it definitely painted it like a sort of like what really was the right call here, because even Dororo like decided like, okay, I'm going to set this this oil on fire so that they'll never have to be able to burn stuff down again. But then what that led to was the entire storehouse going up in flames and completely destroying their food supply and making people go desperate. So Dororo is probably going to start feeling guilty about that going forward. Meanwhile, Hyakimaru could not give two shits about it.
Hyakimaru is all, gung-ho about just, I'm going to go kill some demons. That's all I care about.
Which is an interesting parallel and conflict between the two of them, because Hyakimaru has a single-minded determination, basically, to throw all these other people into hell just so he can get what he wants in the end, which he had everything taken from him, so it's understandable, like, that he'd want to get revenge on people who had, like, or at least the person who had completely destroyed his life. But unlike the villagers in this village, Daigo's people have no idea. They're being fed propaganda and lies and are completely unaware of what's really going on behind the scenes. But it also paints the other question. If they did know, would they care?
Yeah, because it's easy to say as, living in today, like, I have food whenever I want it. When you're in that situation, like, especially if you have a family to take care of, like, you're obviously going to put priorities higher than... Your family's priorities higher than other people's. But I'm assuming that this was a lapse.
Slip up, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure next episode will be perfectly fine as it was before. I'm fairly confident in that.
Yeah, there is still one last plot point that they kind of touched on and then very awkwardly cut. Itachi showing back up.
He's like, hey, Dororo. It cuts.
It's like, hey, Dororo, about that map on your back. It's like, okay, when the fuck did you find out about this? And, like, it just makes me think that Dororo's dad probably told him at one point because he was, like, his right-hand man, but I don't know. Like, probably, I have no idea.
Probably, like, cut the map off his mom's back or something after she died.
Ugh, yeah, that'd be fucked up, But yeah, now Dororo and Hyakimaru are separated, and now we have another psychopath to worry about. Fuck you, Itachi. So next up, Fairy Gone. We are getting a little bit more insight into how Dorothea works, and...
Dorothea.
Is it I've always heard them say Dorothea, but it could be Dorothea.
Too.
Anyway, we're just getting a little bit more insight into how they work and the sort of, like, how... What's interesting is they apparently have, like, authority over the general police, which...
Yeah, I guess they're like the FBI. In that world.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like a government-sponsored agency, and as opposed to the local constabulary.
Which I'm definitely glad that they're getting more into what Dorothea is, because it's, like I said last week, it's a fascinating setting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I want
to learn more about it. I'm a little I'm a little confused by, like, the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And when they said, like, oh, it's this time and this time.
Yeah.
And when you have arbitrary dates that I can't relate anything to, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, that is one problem the series definitely has. The other thing that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to follow is on Funimation's website, like they're awkwardly placing subtitles, like, in different...
Oh, yeah.
So it just makes it makes it even more difficult to figure out, like, okay, when is this taking place? I'm trying to read what that says beneath it as well, like, while this person's talking. Like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of a lot of the time, that's for sure. Once again, I love the soundtrack in this episode. Mm-hmm. The whole chase scene and with, like, the jazzy background music.
Yeah.
Like I said last week, it gets a little loud sometimes, but I still think it does well to put the mood.
Absolutely.
And it's fun to listen to, too.
And then we find out a little bit about Wolfrin, the blonde guy, from last episode. And they actually revealed it in a pretty, like, they revealed his backstory, I think, in a relatively, like, in a relatively clever way, like just him kind of walking around like the ruins of his old town, finding somebody he met, and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's like you, that's right, you wouldn't know, would you? Just because it's one of those things like when you're gone in war, like how much things have changed when you've gone back. Of course, you're not going to be apprised of everything. And that kind of disconnect, and then finally finally realizing it would be enough to sort of like drop somebody to their knees and make them realize like how, like, oh my god, what happened? Like, how could I let this happen?
That's called organic storytelling!
Yay! And then, of course, the other interesting part is finding out more just about the fairy soldiers in general. Like how there were like 300 of them before, and now there's only like 17 that are still alive of the original fairy soldier project.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, a benefit for the show to have only that many alive. Because you have the shonen battle approach, where you have all these characters having different abilities, and it's kind of interesting just seeing how many different people have these unique abilities. Although I'm sure there's non-fairy soldiers that have fairy abilities. Well, then one, we know there are. Yeah. But it's just it makes them seem that much more iconic, the soldiers, because there's only so many left alive.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Spartans in the Halo books, for instance. Like we know there's a lot more Spartans, but there's only like a handful that we actually ever see at any given time, and that kind of gives like a little bit of mysticism to them. Like even the sort of like a Spartan never dies; they only go MIA, for instance.
I noticed a little bit that was pretty interesting little detail when they were chasing after the thief guy, like after he breaks out of the
Axel,
house. Marlia, her name, right?
Yeah, Marlia.
Marlia jumps out and she's like, but he's right there.
Yeah,
and they're like, good eye, and I was like, oh yeah, she's a hunter.
Yeah,
she was a hunter, so of course she's the one who spots him.
Yeah,
a little detail, but I thought it was kind of cool.
It is always really cool to see that, and then we got introduced to Bittersweet or whatever, or Sweetie, what they call her.
Yeah, it seems to have quite the history with Free. Yeah,
yeah, there is that, and then she just seems to be like is trying to sell herself off as an honest businesswoman. She's a femme fatale working for the mafia.
Yeah,
let's be real. That's what she is. Like, there's no lady that can run like that and with a rapier out and also shoot like that so easily.
Yeah, I'm assuming that she met Free while Free was working for the I don't remember what they're actually called, but they're basically the mafia.
Yeah.
Because he was in there for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, he was in there for like 2 years.
Maybe they worked together as partners, and there was some awkward sexual tension.
Probably.
One-sided sexual tension, maybe.
Probably. The other interesting thing is we find out more about the Black Fairy Tome. So, just kind of finding out a little bit about the history of this world, like how the Fairy Tome has been sort of like this, this collaborative effort of numerous scholars in this world throughout like history, and it basically more addendums had been added to it, like as more people started to learn more about fairies and experiment on it, and experiment with them, and basically write their findings down. And now this Black Fairy Tome, it's still a mystery about what exactly it's capable of doing. We know that
I don't think any of the fairy tomes are capable of doing anything. They're literally just knowledge. Yeah. And the Black Fairy Tome contains knowledge about fairy possession, which
that's right.
Which is what happened to Marlia.
Right. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, because normally fairies, they forcibly capture and put the organs in the people.
Oh yeah, that scene was actually really fucked up when they showed more of that, like them actually going out of their way to capture them and then like keep them in cages and then rip them apart. Pretty much hunting them to extinction. Yeah. And then turning them into whatever. I feel like the fairies probably have to go through a somewhat traumatic process to be transplanted. Yeah. Like you can't just kill it peacefully, take the heart out and put it into this person. Like I think there's probably a process that makes them snap or something like that, because they become completely obedient. Yeah, I imagine so. There's definitely more to the story that we're not aware of yet, but we're slowly figuring out more about like what exactly created the fairy soldiers, how, and even the different terminology they throw out. Like we'd already been introduced to like fairy primordials before, which is what Marlia had captured. But then there was another type of fairy, like where they were basically like primordials are those little things, but then these like these fully fledged fairy spirits, for lack of a better term, they also had a different name for them, which I think is just really cool. Like introducing like slowly like kind of like these different terms and allowing you to be able to figure out what exactly they are and piece them together.
I will say I got a little bit bored during the whole fairy tome explanation. I can't necessarily say it was a bad thing. I think it might have just been me getting bored personally.
Okay, and that's totally fair, because the way I see it, like, it's an interesting bit of history about this world, and it's definitely more organic than all of a sudden this happened. But just like, but then kind of like having somebody explain like just about like the fairy tomes and what they are, the different scholars, you get to learn a little bit more about the world, which I thought was super fascinating. But the series continues to be interesting. Looking forward to more badass fairy fights. Something I never thought I'd actually say out loud.
So next up is Fruits Basket. I continue to be surprised by like the amount of depth that these characters have behind all the goofy antics.
Yeah, absolutely, because we got introduced to Kagura-soma, or we formally introduced to Kagura-soma this episode.
Oh yeah, because she popped up at the end
Yeah,
of
she
last
popped up
episode.
at the end of last week, and then this week, I was just looking at her, I was like, oh, she's a shy, sweet girl. Oh my god, never mind, no, she's not. So, for one thing, you gotta realize, like, how much damage this house freaking takes constantly.
Yeah, like, I get it. It's part of the gag, but I keep cringing just every time I see like a table being broken or a TV being broken or the roof being broken.
The TV made me hurt so bad. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and I feel like by eventually the house is going to be more tape than it is wood. Because that seems to be their answer to every situation is, just put some tape on it.
Yeah, just get some duct tape. It'll be fine.
Man, we might as well just bring Phil Swift in here. Put on some flex tape.
No kidding, right?
Slap it right up.
But yeah, Kagura, she's interesting. Very, very dangerous and possessive and clingy and the kind of character I normally don't like.
The cutest Dambora I've seen since Clanad.
Yeah, Botan.
Oh, that's Clanad, right?
Yeah, it was Clanad.
Yeah.
Botan, yeah.
Yeah.
That was she was super adorable. But as a character and as a person, she's crazy, for lack of a better term.
Psycho bitch. Which like I said when a few minutes ago, I love there was actually, she has the gag where she's like gets angry and beats Kyo up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But behind that she's very worried about him, and I think it was like her first friend.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of like deep, like fancy connections behind them, but it's just very simple. They know each other since childhood, and I think the voice actress did a really good job conveying that kind of raw emotion of I just want to be near this person.
Yeah.
And then the animation too, which made me actually like feel.
Yeah. The thing about Kagura, and as well, like Kagura, like being obviously apprehensive of Toru because Toru's basically an outsider. She's somebody like, how can we trust this person? Like it makes a degree of sense why she'd be so apprehensive, but then slowly starting to realize throughout the episode that no, she just thinks of Kyo more as a friend than anything else, and she just wants to look out for these people as well, just like she does.
I keep being I keep expecting Toru to be just like this kind of goofy airhead, which she is.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, but she like, and then I also was expecting like romance, like right out of the gate, kind of, which there was a little bit of embarrassment.
Yeah,
like towards Yuki.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like you said, she just genuinely like wants to help the people, and in the end, where we got the reveal that I think her grandpa's back.
Yeah.
So she's expected to go live with him again. She said she just wanted to be family.
Yeah.
With everybody, and it was kind of like a moment where she finally found a place where she could actually stay.
Yeah, but she even acknowledged, like, well, I kind of should have known this was going to happen. It was going to be just temporary anyways.
Which I'm fully expecting her to go through maybe a little bit of conflict the next episode and end up staying with him anyways.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
Almost definitely. And it seems like every episode has just been gradually introducing more and more of the Soma family, like finding out just more of them.
I was surprised the girls were there.
Yeah.
Just because from what I heard of the show, I thought it was just going to be like a harem show or a reverse harem show. I was surprised that there was girl Zodiac characters. I thought it was going to be all
Yeah.
hot guys.
As far as we know, there are two other female members of the Soma clan. Kagura and then two others in the Zodiac who we are not aware of yet. I don't know anything about that. But as going into this show blind has been an incredibly rewarding experience in this series going forward. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I am prepared for feels next episode probably.
Yeah, no kidding. So next up, Helpful Fox Senko-san. So this actually kind of hurts to say.
Yeah, this is our first show this season that we're going to be dropping. Not for quality reasons at all. This show is one of my favorites of the season.
Yeah, it is. It is adorable and funny and wholesome. It's just a very wholesome,
relaxing
show. Yeah, it's just a very pleasant show to watch. It's almost like an ASMR video, pretty much.
But the thing is, there's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's just it's. Like, I'm sure going forward there might be more more character development on the main character. I can't even remember his name. I feel terrible, but on the main character's part, and like maybe even seeing like his neighbor Koenji. Like, she was actually a really funny addition to the cast, by the way.
Yeah, she's a fucking maniac, and I love her.
Yeah, she's completely psychotic, and just.
I love how she seemed like kind of normal, and then they brought up the cosplay, and she's just like, whoa!
Yeah, I think it was also hilarious when I like this gag where anytime like there's like some really like I guess unsettling or unnerving moment, it's just like she opened the door and saw her like the main character getting ready to like fluff her hair or fur or whatever, and then just her looking and just going. Just close.
Hello, please.
Yeah, there's an older man like assaulting a little girl.
Yeah, the show is like, I feel like talking about the show every week would be like discussing an ASMR video with somebody.
Exactly. Like, do I want to keep watching this? Absolutely. Will I probably watch this in my spare time? Probably.
Yeah, I will without a doubt continue to watch this every week.
It is a very pleasant, very enjoyable, very cute show. There's just not really a lot to talk about.
Yep.
It's just, here are some new hijinks for this week.
So we'll talk about it again in our mid-season review and our season review, probably.
Yeah, but as far as weekly shows go, we're not going to be talking about it. We will probably be watching it in our spare time.
So next up is Hitoribocchi's Lifestyle, where we got introduced to a ninja girl from Denmark?
As we don't really know where she's from. We know that she's a foreigner. We know that
I think she said she was Danish.
Maybe.
At one point.
I don't remember. And I don't even remember her name. I'm just going to call her Ninja Girl for the time being. Because
I will remember all their names by next week.
Yeah, because we got Nako, Aru, Bochi, and then Ninja Girl as of right now.
This whole episode was adorable, just seeing her slowly trying to, because at first Bochi was like, I don't want to be near this girl. It's like, I'm not a ninja.
Yeah.
And then just I just want to be friends.
Yeah, exactly. Just seeing her, Bochi is just a adorable little ball of precious and awkwardness that needs to be nurtured. She needs all the friends. She deserves it. She tries hard. And by tries hard, I mean usually tries very hard to avoid people. That's why the girl thought she was a ninja, because like normally she doesn't stand out too much, but then she can move really nimbly all of a sudden.
She did the ninja thing when she was timing when to cross the crosswalk.
Yeah, because she didn't want
avoid talking to someone.
Yeah.
God, jeez.
Yeah, and then her not wanting to leave because her neighbors were outside her gate, and she just wanted to wait them out, but they didn't look like they were going to go anywhere, so she just kind of had to suck it up.
Good evening.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good morning. Like, okay, never mind. It's like, I tried. But yeah, Nako continues to be like the snarky friend that everybody needs. And I just love the gag at this point of calling Aru unfortunate and her weird, like, awkward, like, backwards headbutt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's... And then, what's her, the ninja girl coming in? She's like, you are unfortunate! Like, you don't have to say that too, please. Stop.
And then I find it very funny that anytime that Aru headbutts Nako, she doesn't seem to react, but when Bocchi accidentally caught her off guard and headbutted her in the back, like, that actually seemed to get her. Granted, she was off guard, so maybe.
She's gonna get spine damage, I feel like, at some point, because Bocchi keeps headbutting her.
Yeah, or poking her, just that little...
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Well, it's fine. Teacher's not going to call her out on it.
Yeah, exactly, because we'd already established that the teacher is utterly terrified of Nako for no real good reason. She just looks scary because she's
like a bad girl.
Yeah, she looks like a bad girl. But I think it's kind of it's interesting seeing like this ninja girl's inspiration. She just wants to learn how to be a ninja, pretty much, and she wants Bocchi to be her master and teach her all that she knows.
Her motivation was to come to Japan to learn about ninjas, I guess. Like, how much disposable income does your family have that you can just... I feel like going to another country to learn about one of their historical warriors.
Historical warriors that may or may not be mythological.
Yeah.
Just, like, and obviously a lot of the rumors are, like, blown out of proportion, but it's still just, it's funny. Just thinking about how much money she must have, indeed.
One of my favorite bits from when she was interacting with Bocchi was Bocchi just, like, brings her over to a little bit of grass, like, holds up her hands, and is just like, do this. She does it. It's like, you have achieved mastery.
And then she's like, what, seriously? There has to be more than that.
Nope, that's it. You're a ninja now. Yeah, congratulations.
But now and then after Bocchi kind of just stops and thinks about it a little bit, she's like, Kai and I used to train like this all the time, so I really am not forcing myself to go along with it. I'm actually legitimately having fun. But then she goes up to Ninja Girl and says, so do you want to just be my friend after you've achieved mastery? And that just seems like a pretty sweet little goal going forward. Bocchi's precious. So next up, Jojo Golden Wind.
Got the final conclusion for not only Risotto?
Yeah.
Not only Risotto, but Abbacchio.
Okay, this was one of the most emotional death scenes in JoJo, probably to date. There have been quite a few emotional death scenes in this series, like with Caesar, with Iggy, with
Abdul,
and Kakyoin. All these, and to a lesser extent, Shigechi.
Wait, Kakyoin didn't die?
Yeah, he did.
Did he?
Yeah, Kakyoin got killed by Dio.
Wow, I need to go back and
look
at those. I don't even remember.
Remember, Kakyoin had to do the Emerald Splash on the clock tower to like reveal that Dio had the ability to essentially stop time, which is what made him so dangerous. But anywho, this is without a doubt one of the most emotional death scenes. They just handled it so well. The direction was on point. The voice actor for Abbacchio, holy shit.
Less so Abbacchio. I'd give more credit to the voice actor for Nancia.
Oh god.
Daiki Yamashita. He made a already tragic scene feel just so desperate and heart-wrenching. Just he started off like getting mad, and there's a person on KITSU that actually said like he went through the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is he just went through like anger, denial, and
bargaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really did. Like, and it just felt super real. And I think what else kind of gave this scene that much more punch is just the fact that Abbacchio's death happened so quickly. It happened so out of nowhere. And usually in deaths, they're usually really drawn out, and people are able to give like their final last words. But Abbacchio was totally alone, and he died like in an instant. He had no chance to say really much of anything. So it kind of really just gave that punch that we all needed, that to kind of just deliver on the fact that, yeah, this character is dead. He's not coming back.
Yeah, and they kind of punctuated that by like, having his silhouette like up in the sky.
Yeah.
And giving him that last little bit of the in his mind where he had that little scene with the guy who he got killed. That
was actually a really like poignant little bit too, because this is the actual final stop for you. You came in on that bus, and that was just really, it was really sad. Even the person who he felt all this time should be the one blaming him for dying, and the person he felt so guilty about actually saying, "You did a good job. Don't beat yourself up over this."
Yeah, I didn't expect to be coming into this episode this week getting choked up.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either. It was so well done though. And then of course like the tension of like figuring like just the boss basically trying to hide and like and just seeing him like creepily grab like frogs and stuff and start eating them.
I don't think that's how iron works. I don't think you can just drink blood and have it in your bloodstream.
I don't think that's how it works either. And then he switched places with a kid.
Ugh, that was really fucked up looking.
Oh yeah. And the thing about the thing about Abakio when he finally did die was like he was helping the kids grab the bowl. You see like for a flash, you see like a kid with pink hair running by. I saw pink hair. I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
And just like, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's where we went.
But at least Abakio did one last thing before he died.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he probably did that after he got a hole punch through him.
Yeah,
because after he got the hole punch through him, Moody Blues probably finally made it to the point where they figured out who the boss was, and they just like smashed his face into the rocks.
Yeah, exactly. He did what he had to do, which I think was a really good way for Abakio to go out. He died in a sort of like in a humble way, but in a way that really delivered like a huge punch. Mm-hmm. Like he died suddenly and sort of without warning, but it was a really good way to die.
There's a little point after that when Bucciarati, he bit his lip.
Oh, and he started bleeding.
So I'm not sure if they were just using that for dramatic effect. I could see that being a case.
Yeah,
just because showing how painful it is for him just to leave his comrade behind and tell everyone to move on. But it also could have been important because he hasn't bled at all since he got quote unquote revived.
Yeah, that is incredidly true. It makes me wonder if it was just a thing that Araki kind of forgot about.
It might be,
yeah, just because that was because I saw that. I was like, wait, he's not supposed to be bleeding, right? Like, it could very easily just be a thing that Araki just kind of overlooked. So, who knows? This episode was great.
Really sad.
Yeah, we're just slowly going to be seeing more and more of the mafia dying, it seems.
So, next up is Kono Oto Tomare, Sounds of Life.
Oh, man.
I'm glad we're getting more info on...
Kurata?
Kurata, yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is we had talked a little bit about this last week. We were worried that Kurata didn't really have much of a presence in this show. Like, he was just kind of like a person that was just kind of meant to, like, hold them together, but he didn't really have much character, personality, or fleshed out motivations, really. This episode, we finally get a little bit more about him.
Yeah, his insecurities about actually being the president.
Yeah.
And because most of the focus has been on Kudo and Hozuki.
Which at the end of the day, I still think that Kudo and Hozuki are the more interesting characters.
Agreed, yeah. But that's because we don't know enough about the other characters yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad they're putting more focus on Kurata, but I would also like to see more focus on all of Kudo's friends individually.
Yeah, which I think we will definitely see that going forward, because I think that we did get to see a little bit more like concrete motivations from a majority of the cast so far, like seeing like Hozuki sort of becoming a little bit more involved of a character too.
Yeah,
like
more involved in actually teaching people.
Like, and realizing that that's her shortcoming. She doesn't really know how to teach people, and she's actually being willing to admit that, which I think is an important step for her and her growth as a character. And seeing Kudo, like, just seeing how hard Kudo has been working, that's been a really touching moment too. And seeing all of Kudo's friends, like, they're working so hard just because he's working hard. It kind of makes you wonder what exactly kind of friendship those guys have, like, and wanting to know more about, like, why each of them are connected so closely to Kudo.
Yeah, because all we know so far is that they're just friends.
Yeah.
They're friends, and they hung out a lot in Kudo's previous school.
Absolutely. And probably because, he was a misunderstood delinquent, and they were also kind of delinquent, so... And seeing Kudo actually stand up for Kurata again was also really rewarding. Like,
he kind of stood up for him, but he also he kind of gave him a little bit of confidence in the situation. Because instead of being like, "Come on, we're going back to the club," he's like, "Hey, senpai, like, are you coming? You're a president. Like, are you gonna come back now?"
Definitely, Kudo is a lot more like he's a little bit more. he's a little bit better at reading people than most people would give credit for, like, at first blush. Like, and he kind of, it seems like he knew what Kurata was going through and wanted to basically push him in the right direction.
Yeah, because Kurata did the same thing when he was, like, threatening to kick him out of the school in the office. He came in and basically said he's not the one who did it. Like, he stood up for him in the moment where nobody else was going to.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, so it's sort of like repaying a favor, but at the same time, it's just really rewarding to see. And then I had no idea about this. I had no idea that Occult was supposed to be modeled after dragons. I had no idea about the mythology and importance of dragons in Japan either.
I think I said that in a previous episode already.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay, you did. How they're supposed to be modeled after dragons.
Well, I mean, the show said it. I didn't know that.
They probably did, but I'd forgotten about it. But I thought it was really cool, like, figuring out, like, how dragons in Japanese mythology, are supposed to connect the heavens and the earth. And then Hozuki's, like, interpretation on what the koto means, connecting the audience to the players. Sort of two things that aren't normally supposed to be connected, reaching out to people. I thought that was a really clever metaphor, and one that I thought was handled really well.
Yeah, it was told really well, too.
Yeah.
Because all the people who didn't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice having Hozuki as this kind of knowledge base.
Yeah.
That knows all about the Kotos and kind of can slowly leak things out to the rest of the cast, so that sans Kuroto, she can slowly teach them and therefore teach the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and kind of going back briefly to Kurata, just like the idea that he recognizes that Hozuki isn't good at teaching, but he actually does know how to teach people and knows how to be a little bit more personable. I think that's a big, like, stepping point for him going forward. Like, he starting to slowly realize what he can bring to the club and how he can keep people together. I think that's important for him, as well as, like, keeping the audience invested in his struggles going forward in the show.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So next up, Midnight Occult Civil Servants. I really wanted to like this show. I really did. Like, the concept alone sounded fascinating. Like, basically supernatural men in black, pretty much.
Yeah.
But instead of aliens, it's ancient spirits. That all sounded cool.
Yeah, I do want to say I do not hate this show.
I don't either.
It's not... I couldn't call it bad.
Yeah.
I just can't really call it good.
Like, it's definitely one of those cases that a concept is not really enough to drive a show. Like, you need to have a good concept and good execution to drive it forward. This had less than optimal execution on a pretty solid concept, which I think is pretty disappointing.
So spoiler alert, this is the second show
that we're
dropping for this season. I don't even think I'm going to go back and watch it more.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm
probably just going to drop it here.
Like,
because there's not enough character for me.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's boring. All the talking is boring. Mm-hmm. I'm invested in the idea of the show.
Yeah,
the show itself is just boring.
Yeah, there were some, like, and it just seems to be that despite having a really cool OP, love the OP of this show, it's very stylish, very cool, they didn't bring any of that to, like, any of, like, the fight scenes. The fight scenes were very static, boring, and uninteresting. The reveal that this being that has been, like, pulling the strings this whole time, it's revealed that he's supposed to be, like, an Aztec god of chaos or something like that. That sounds like more like end of the series, like, main antagonist material, or something that is supposed to be, like, the end boss, or the thing that has been, like, the thing that everybody, like, he's causing all these problems, like, sprinkling them throughout, and then he's the one they're trying to find at the end. Instead, he just comes off more as just a minor nuisance with connection to the main character. There's no real reason to be invested in the main character, because he by himself is incredibly boring.
Yeah, I don't, like, we don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
We know he's got kind of he seems really boring one moment, and then another moment he seems kind of spunky.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it seems really cohesive.
Yeah, and then he's supposed to be the reincarnation of, like, a powerful spirit medium, which, okay, that could be interesting, but they just don't really deliver on it, like, as well as I think they could. Like, by episode 3, you'd expect there to be, like, some kind of personality and stuff to the character. They're just really, isn't any of that here.
Yeah, it's just boring.
Yeah.
End of story.
End of story. Like, talk about a few pros on the show, though. As we said before, concept pretty solid. Like, seeing them sort of like deal with the supernatural in a somewhat mundane way is actually pretty interesting, kind of combining like magic and technology. I've always thought that concept was cool, like, in that sort of idea was fascinating. As we said before, it's sort of like a more supernatural version of Men in Black. Instead of sci-fi, it's focusing more on the fantasy angle. That's fascinating, but it's just not all that interesting. So we're gonna be dropping it here.
So next up is One Punch Man 2, which has, in my opinion, been consistently getting better since the first episode.
Yeah, the fight animation and choreography has been getting better. Yes, I agree with that. And
it feels like this is just an assumption. Like, I have no basis off this whatsoever, but it feels as if they're bringing people in that kind of know what they're doing a little bit better here.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assumption.
Because not only are they using less static shots for the fights, but the animations themselves are getting a lot smoother. Like when the tank top master goes to punch Gardo, and he just kind of slips around, and he's like, "Oops, it slipped out," and then he goes into that water style.
Oh yeah,
master that was pretty smooth looking.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth looking. I thought that was a pretty cool fight. Garo is actually as simple motivations he might have. He's actually a pretty clear villain at this point. Actually, a pretty fascinating one going forward. Like, he's not particularly deep or engaging, but he is entertaining and fun to watch.
Yeah, you said last week he's kind of a like an antithesis to Saitama.
Yeah,
where he's just kind of growing up. He's trying to get stronger and stronger, but for different reasons.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see him, go around beating up all these heroes, become this monstrous figure, and then easily get defeated by Saitama. We know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think when we get to that point, hopefully all the animation will improve a lot more.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting better and better, hopefully. And give us like a really satisfying finale is what I'm looking forward to with Gardo.
Yeah. I think it's actually kind of hilarious that you bring that up because this episode ended with one of the most hilarious jokes.
Yeah.
Like, Garo gets taken out by Saitama with a judo chop straight out of Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It's like, what's your problem? Smack.
Yeah, it's hilarious because you see him going around, beating up all these heroes. And
he just, by coincidence, runs into Saitama on the side of the road.
Yeah, and it definitely kind of sets you back into reality of how strong Saitama is, where everyone's having trouble beating this guy, and Saitama just judo chop, and then he just goes down.
Yeah, and just
he passes out.
And seeing his eyes kind of slowly start to fade because he's passing out. That's, for one, it's a hilarious shot, and two, I think it's a clever way of showing how his focus is actually going to get narrowed onto Saitama, because that's pretty much what the whole point of the show is. Saitama is the thing that holds the cast together.
Yeah, I love how they went to his house in the beginning of the episode, and there's just Blizzard is there.
Yeah.
King is there.
Yeah, and Genos is obviously there, and it's just isn't there more of you?
Yeah, I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Not only the animation, but I think the comedic timing is getting a lot better too.
Yeah, absolutely.
The writing, the whole bit where he's in the hospital, he's just have a banana.
Don't put it there.
That felt just a lot more Saitama than he has been in the first two episodes.
Yeah, that was pretty well handled, the banana gag, and then actually, for one thing, just figuring out how Tank Top Master got beaten, him realizing that Garo's whole thing is learning how to take out people, because he was Master Bang, one of Master Bang's disciples, who he deemed as being unworthy. So being kind of kicked to the curb like that fueled this passion and basically desire to want to become stronger. I think to prove, and yeah, just basically him being able to just take out people and heroes specifically.
Yeah, he's a hero killer, I think is what they call him.
Yeah, he's totally not Stain, but he's Stain. But I really like Garo as a character, he's definitely going to be an interesting thing going forward, seeing how he gets stronger. And once again, seeing like the parallel between him and Saitama, that's going to be fascinating too.
Seeing how many goddamn tank top heroes there were. I had no idea.
Yeah, we knew there was Tank Top Tiger and stuff like that.
Yeah, Tank Top Tiger, and then he had like a brother.
Yeah.
And then we knew, I think that's it.
Yeah, and then... But then we also met Tank Top Master and all the other Tank Top heroes. And then Moomin Rider getting the shit kicked out of him again.
Moomin Rider, yeah.
Moomin Rider shows up again.
Always wear a helmet.
Yeah, always, because that's probably what saved his life.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only reason he lived through that.
Yeah. Next up, Rising of the Shield Hero. More really organic world building.
Nice bird.
Yeah, nice bird.
Nice bird.
Nice bird. But seriously though, like, I was, for a couple things, clearly the first half of the episode is where all the budget went, because the camera angles, like in the fight scene, was actually pretty well done. The CGI wasn't amazing, but it was certainly better integrated than things we've seen in the past. Like, there have been anime that have some terribly integrated CGI. This was passable and sometimes just good, actually, at times.
Yeah, like when the queen kind of rises out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this massive chicken.
Massive
death chicken.
Yeah, that was so cool. And then seeing it kill the dragon, like, no problem.
Yeah, I think that was a good job of showing power levels right there.
Yeah.
Because they were having trouble beating up this giant dinosaur, and you see this chicken just come out and kick it in the face, and then you're already dead.
Yeah.
Thing just runs through it. Yeah.
And just see, like, cuts appear all over it, and then blood spurt out everywhere, and then it falls into the river.
Yeah, that was like the equivalent of like the samurai thing where they cut through each other.
Yeah. And then like one of them kind of like starts to stagger, and then he puts like he puts the sword back in the sheath, and then yeah. Such a cliche, but always awesome to see. And just finding out more about this world, like finding out like, oh, why are all the heroes congregated in this one place? Like
that was fascinating when I heard about that. They're usually in one country each.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming this probably is some kind of plot with Mine and the King. Yeah,
because they are very anti-demi-human and probably just wanted the demi-humans to die.
Yeah, they're probably using the heroes in their own country to let all the other countries die out from the wave.
Yeah, which that's really fucked up. I mean, it just and just seeing like kind of how like the world had been built up before. It's like, okay, each other country has their own dragon hourglass. Okay, we'd known about that, but then we just kind of built up on it. Like, usually heroes are supposed to be summoned to each of those hourglasses. And just thinking about that, and it's like realizing, oh shit, the wave is going on in more than one country. I mean, it makes sense, but it's something you just don't really know about.
It was a huge drop.
I think, and it was dropped very subtly. Like they didn't make it like some huge like mind blowing revelation. But
everybody's just like, what?
Like but it makes so much sense. Like just looking back, you're like, whoa, I hadn't even thought of that. It's just it was such a well handled like reveal.
Yeah,
like,
a very like duh moment.
But yeah, it is a very duh moment, but it's definitely one of those things like it's one of those things that looking back you're like, oh
yeah, because it does a really good job of showing us the scale of this world, which we've done a little bit more when he was talking with the shopkeeper and he was telling about the different countries, or the slave keeper. I think.
Yeah, the slave owner.
But yeah, it's this. I think that the moment that we learned that there are waves in other countries, like I never really thought about it. It just lends a lot more weight to this huge world itself.
It lends a lot more weight, and it makes you realize that, well, if a lot of the countries are struggling just to repel one portion of the waves, what's the consequences for the rest of the world?
Yeah, I imagine it sounds like it'd be like post-apocalypse shit. Like everyone's struggling to survive.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. The whole world thing reminds me of like Log Horizon when they first go to the snow place.
Oh yeah.
The other country, and they have to like teleport there, or I think they fly there first. But but just that like scale, like you realizing it's an isekai, but it's a planet-sized world.
Absolutely. And the Philolio Queen, by the way, I don't remember her name. What was it? Fentiro or something like that?
I don't remember.
But the Philolio Queen, like for one thing, I love her design. Like, when she just appeared out of the water, she was so majestic. Just like...
Still kind of goofy looking, though.
I mean, yeah, just goofy enough.
Majestic in a goofy way.
But, yeah.
Or goofy in a majestic way.
Yeah, I'd say it's more goofy in a majestic way. Like, and then seeing her, like, shrink down to basically philo size, it just makes me wonder, like, are all the Philolio queens just lollies?
I think all of the ones that can transform are probably tiny girls.
Yeah.
I would assume. I want one of them to be like a ripped dude. like a fucking berserker sized guy.
Yeah, that'd be funny. The thing about her, though, is she just started, like, revealing, like, just kind of in a very organic dialogue with Naofumi, just kind of revealed, like, how, revealed just, like, what the world is like, how long she's been around, like, how many heroes she's seen try and fail, and just how frustrated she is seeing, like, the heroes fighting. She's been alive for, like, 800 some odd years or something.
Yeah, I loved that she kept talking with Naofumi, kept giving him options like, okay, just go back, maybe you can work things out with the heroes, you can figure it out, you're not supposed to fight. And she kept reiterating that point, like, multiple times. And then at the end, she's like, well, alright, I guess I have to kill all of you.
Which, I would totally understand her reasoning behind that. She's just tired of seeing, like, heroes rise, fall, not be able to work together, all that shit.
Yeah, her scope of the world is so broad that a few heroes dying to her probably means nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Because we figured out before, when Naofumi wanted to go home, like, he realized the heroes can't go home unless they stop the wave, or all of them die.
Yeah.
And
then they'll just be dead. They won't be able to go home.
But then more heroes will be summoned.
Yes. And we'd figured, and again, it's one of those things, it's like, it's just touching on, like, previously established knowledge and realizing, oh, okay. The other thing that I thought was interesting is, like, the idea that she's so vehemently opposed to Naofumi or any cardinal hero using dragon parts in their weapons. Which makes sense, Philolials hate dragons, so that it makes a little bit of sense, but also just how dangerous they can be. And she even acknowledges, this episode really just kind of acknowledged, like, something that had been bothering me about the whole Rage Shield Curse series from the beginning, the idea of consequence. Because we've established this on a few different occasions, that the first time the Rage Shield appeared, it was very underwhelming. Like, it just didn't really lend a whole lot of, like, weight to the situation, which should have been, like, a relatively earth-shattering one. Like, I personally feel, like, looking back on it now, like, because she said, the power of the Curse series is great, but it comes at great risk. So it makes me wonder, it kind of makes me think, it kind of should have been handled like the symbiote suit from Spider-Man. Like, how he kind of, like, acquired this new power, got kind of addicted to it because it made him stronger and stuff, but eventually it made him do something he truly regretted and couldn't take back. Kind of if they went down the ReZero route in that regard. Like, because we haven't seen much of it, like, weigh down on him.
Yeah, I think it might be something that is happening in the background that hasn't come to surface yet. Like, maybe this curse is slowly building up, like, what was on Raphtalia's skin. Like, maybe that's building up inside of Naofumi or something.
Maybe.
I really hope that it has a consequence to it.
Yeah, and maybe it's just sort of, like, slowly building up the consequences, but there has just really been no, like, major sign of consequence
Exactly,
yet.
yeah.
And I guess as well, like, kind of just going back to the original Rage Shield activation, it just felt, like, really unearned and kind of out of left field in the first place. But that aside, I think that I'm looking forward to this next episode, and the second cour is definitely more interesting than the first cour was.
Agree. So next up is RobiHachi. This is going to be the last show that we're going to be dropping for this season.
Yep. And once again, not for any lack of enjoyment, because I have enjoyed this show. I thought it's been, like, goofy, it's been goofy fun. It gives me a lot of Space Patrol Luluco vibes.
Yeah, goofy fun, different story every episode, going to different planets, yada,
exactly.
yada, yada.
Because this episode, they went to Pluto, and how they're trying to market, how we're trying now, because apparently Robbie and Hachi are inadvertent marketers for different planets and how to promote tourism.
Yeah, I love how simple how simple of a man Robbie is. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, what do you think we are? PR people travel on space helping people out? And he's just like, please, you have to help my father. Jiggle, jiggle. And he's like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, he's a man who does not lie to himself. That much is obvious. And then Hachi is just I'm doing it for the thrills, and their robot is just I just want to make sure these idiots don't kill us.
Pretty much.
Like,
yeah.
I think it was hilarious. One of the best like gags is when Blitzkrieger or whatever it was, the name of the robot, like it's like, oh, that robot is solid, but our robot is also incredibly weak, so let's try to bluff him out.
The elementary school battle of
like
I have a laser, I have a laser shield.
It's like, I have my laser is able to pierce through your laser shield. Oh yeah, well I have armor that reflects laser. It kind of is like the it kind of reminds me of that scene from Inferno Cop. It's like, my gun. It's like, I'm immune to your bullets. Oh well, so am I. No! Boom!
Oh my god.
Yeah, it reminds me exactly of that. Which, kind of going back to the Lulaco observation, it's strangely fitting because those were both produced by Trigger. This is not produced by Trigger, but it just reminds me of those kinds of
This is a much more down to earth comedy show, I think.
Yeah,
even though they're in space.
Ooh.
But yeah, like it's goofy, like old school goofy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, like seeing like these like the debt collectors just chasing after these guys and just being like one step behind them, usually due to like one stupid oversight or something. And like in the last episode, it was because they didn't have enough gas to get to the next to the planet they really needed to get to. Mm-hmm. So then they backtracked and went to Mars just after the freaking the octopus gig was up. So it's like, where are all the octopus? This series is a lot of fun, but there isn't really a whole lot to talk about. It's definitely it's not a particularly like interesting show. Funny and goofy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep watching it for sure.
Yeah, I'm also going to keep watching it.
We'll bring this up in our mid-season review and our season review. Yeah, just like Foxy Girl.
So next up, and last on our list, Sarazanmai. So
I am very conflicted about this show right now.
Like, this was kind of on the chopping block for us. Like, let's just throw that out there. Like, collectively, this was on the chopping block for both of us because I really like the character drama that this show is building up. It's
really good.
Yeah, it's fascinating and actually pretty well handled in most situations. Like, we do find out that, yes, Enta does have a crush on Kazuki, and it's not just, oh, he has a crush on the girl, he has a crush on Kazuki. Yeah. Like, that's revealed, like, almost immediately.
Yeah, it's a very, like, flower of youth kind of romance, where it's, like, kind of growing up, first love, yada, yada.
Yeah, it's puppy love. That's exactly what it is. It's basically puppy love. And also, I think it has something to do with, we're finding out a little bit more of Kazuki indirectly because of this, because we find out that Kazuki was really into soccer, was really good at soccer, actually, but something happened and it caused him to quit soccer, which that really hurt Enta because I don't think Enta had many other friends or people he related to before that. Mm-hmm. So it kind of lends to the idea that this is the one person that seemed to care about him really at all, and he just left him suddenly.
Yeah, I think Enta probably had people that talked to him and like treated him like a friend, but I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was Kazuki's friend.
Yeah, Kazuki? Yeah.
Kazuki, yeah.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it too. And like, yeah, he started to develop affection and feelings for him. He says, I don't know when this started, but it's been for quite a while, ever since we were young.
He kept hallucinating, I guess.
Yeah.
This episode.
Fantasizing,
yeah.
And every time, like, I was thinking, this is gonna be a dream. This is gonna be. There it is.
Yeah. It was just like, yes, I'll always stay with you. We'll be the golden pair forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Pose like this.
Yeah, and just I saw that and I was like, what? But I kind of knew that it was at least for now. It seems like incredibly unrequited feelings, at least on Kazuki's part.
Yeah,
like I don't think he's even aware of that fact. Like,
no, he tells him. He says I love you at the end of the episode, and then Kazuki says, Oh, wait, no, he doesn't. That's
No,
fantasizing.
that was in the fantasy.
God damn it.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Kazuki, and he basically, and Enta has like a little bit of moment of growth when he realizes that, well, maybe I won't worry about him so much. Maybe I should just give up on him, which I think is sometimes the healthy thing to do.
Yeah, it's definitely an unhealthy affection that he has for him right now. Like a little bit, almost to the point of obsession.
Yeah. Like, and I think that's all part of growing up. They're still young, and maybe that'll be like a plot point going forward. What I wasn't expecting was finding out that Haruka was paralyzed.
Yeah.
That was...
Well, I don't know if he's paralyzed, but we know he's in a wheelchair.
I'm pretty sure he's paralyzed, because he says, I won't be able to run with my big brother anymore.
Yeah. It's either paralyzed or very, like
Sick.
a bone problems or weak legs or whatever.
Which I think is... Which actually... which definitely adds a little bit more into Kazuki's thing. And once again, a pretty organic way. They don't, like, ham-fist it over before. Like... because you figure out, it's like, okay, he's going so far out of his way to help his little brother, like, and do this specific thing for his little brother. Why is that? We got the reason here in a pretty clever reveal, just like saying, Haruka, it's time to go home, and then him getting pushed along in a wheelchair. You're just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it definitely, we get a lot more reasoning why he quit soccer. I'm pretty sure that's why.
It had to have been something.
He has to spend a lot more time trying to make his brother happy and trying to make his shitty situation less shitty.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm assuming he probably wants to get the dishes to make it so his brother can walk again.
I imagine so. Like, that's got to be the case here. Like, but then we have a delinquent boy whose name kind of escapes me. Isn't it like Kujo or something like that, or Kuja?
I don't remember.
I don't know. We don't really know much about him yet, and
we just know he wants to get his brother out of. Or we think he wants to get his brother out of the mafia.
Yeah, which it's an interesting thing in the OP how it shows like all the characters, and then it shows like the person that's most on that character's mind. Like it shows Kazuki, and it shows Haruka's little brother on his mind. It shows Enta, then it's Kazuki next to him, and then it shows the delinquent kid, and it shows his older brother. So it's just an interesting little bit of foreshadowing from the intro.
Yeah. Complaints. So it's now the third time we've seen the same exact action scene.
With a couple minor changes.
Like a little bit of changes. They use most of the same frames, like for the attacks and everything.
Like the biggest difference I noticed was instead of Kazuki singing the song, it was Enta this time around, which I guess kind of makes sense. Like it seems like I imagine that the delinquent is going to be singing one of the ones in the future, probably.
And I'm fine with that. Like, where they just do the whole same musical thing, and they sing about something different. Mm-hmm. What I'm not fine about is they do the same spin, they always block an attack, they always shoot water, and then they sneak behind and, get in the butt.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really impressive the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Not so much the second time, and it's getting obnoxious at the third time.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, it's just... Like, there has to be some variation here, otherwise it's going to just bore the shit out of the audience.
It's also the second time we've seen the cop dance. Yeah. They did the exact same dance, but they just said something different.
Yeah, it was the super gay cop dance, which, by the way, it's, according to, there is a spin-off manga featuring those two cops, and they are live-in partners. Like, that is officially confirmed, and they have an adoptive daughter.
All right, cool.
So, so in case you were wondering...
It's canon.
It's canon. The other thing is, it's always interesting seeing, like, inside their heads, like, the different sequences play out.
The leaking?
Yeah. And that's always fascinating.
Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't like it, because I usually don't like situations where they kind of reveal the twist at the end. Mm-hmm. But the way they do it, and the way they kind of allude to it throughout the episode, it makes it feel like it's something that could have actually happened. Like, when you see Enta breaking into his locker and just kind of like
yeah, and then playing on his recorder and shit like that.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable for sure. But...
And I think that's kind of the point. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. And like and even the delinquent saying, dude, are you kidding me? Just like seeing his response. Yeah. Like, and the fact that Kazuki is somewhat okay with this, like, I don't know if if he also reciprocates those feelings. I don't think he does. No. Or he's just kind of repressing it because it's a secondary concern, which that might become a problem later.
It might be. Like, I could see him being gay because the whole cross-dressing thing.
Maybe, but but I'm not entirely sure about that. I am curious to see where the show goes forward. My biggest complaint is, yes, I want them to do different action sequences. For the love of God.
For now, we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for week 4 of spring 2019.
Yup, this has been as we've said, pretty slow burning season, but it seems like we're slowly getting some pretty good stuff, and some stuff that's questionable. Sarazanmai.
Attack on Titan next week.
Attack on Titan is going to be next week. I'm imagining that's going to be freaking awesome. We're finally getting back to that series. It's been, 6 months?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
episode 50.
Yep.
That's what they're continuing on to.
Thank God.
So yeah, if you guys have any comments about what we talked about today, opinions of what we said, or stuff you want to bring up on your own, you can go ahead and leave a comment down below, or via Twitter. Or we're also going to be a lot more active on KITSU.
Yep. We will have our usernames in the description if you just want to follow us or figure out or just look at some of the things we're talking about.
It's a really cool platform for community engagement and talking about anime with people.
Yeah, and it's just a very intuitive website too. Like
we're not sponsored by KITSU. We will totally take a sponsorship by KITSU if you want to give us one.
we will totally sell out for KITSU, but. But no, KITSU, in all seriousness, guys, is just a very helpful, platform. We aren't on MAL, but so find us on KITSU, Twitter.
I don't really care about my anime list, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's it for this week. Until next time, anchor away. Take care of yourselves, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.